The Los Angeles Chargers have added Joey Bosa and Corey Linsley to the reserve COVID list, and they have announced concomitant, $10 word, with the news that Bosa is on the list that he will be out for Sunday, which means he's not vaccinated. We already knew that because he did a 5-day stint on the close contact list, but this is more likely than not going forward what we're going to see when a guy does land on COVID, and we know he's going to be out for a specific period of time, because under the new protocols, you could, in theory, test positive today and be back tomorrow. Or, there aren't going to be many guys who test positive at all. That's the thing that's got to sink in for everyone. They've dramatically changed the testing, but for the unvaccinated players, they're still tested every single day, and if they're positive, they're gone for a minimum of 10 days.
Two bits of good news for the Chargers out of this. One is they play the Texans this week, so they could probably do without Joey Bosa and win this game very easily. 9.5 sacks for him this year, a sack in 6 of the last 7 games. He's really playing at a high level. They will miss him, but they play the Texans. If they can't beat the Texans without Joey Bosa, they probably don't deserve to go to the playoffs anyway. The second bit of good news, Mike, is now he has COVID. He will miss a game. And guess what? He doesn't have to test again for this entire season, including the postseason, so he is free and clear the rest of the way.
Well, and that's the one thing to remember. Every player who does test positive and return is good to go for the rest of the season. We are within the 90-day window. I think we're down to 55 days between now and the Super Bowl. Remember, though, Aaron Rodgers, the testing window opens on him again 2 days after the conference championship games. So if they make it to the Super Bowl, he gets tested every single day. And that specter of possibly being positive any single day as the virus is spreading like wildfire, and who knows what it'll be doing in 40, 45 days. But that's when it returns for him. For anybody else who gets dinged now, they don't get tested again, and they're not subject to being knocked out again for the balance of the 2021 season. And really the goal now, and this is a joint objective by both the league and the union, is to just get through the league, and then they'll figure out where they are with the pandemic, which is becoming endemic to society after Super Bowl 56. Travis Kelce placed on the reserve COVID list. He is vaccinated, so there's a chance he'll be back in time for Sunday's game. Again, everything has changed now. The threshold for him getting back is lower. He doesn't have to do the 24 hours between negative tests. So I think we're going to see a lot of guys make it back within a week. But I will say this. We had Baker Mayfield test positive last Wednesday. He didn't make it back in time for today's game against the Raiders. So we'll just wait and see. But it should be easier. And the goal from last Thursday's changes was to make it easier for players to come back. But Kelce, a key component to what the Chiefs are doing, and was great on Thursday night with a career-high 191 receiving yards and the game-winning touchdown. They need him because with the Steelers, you never know. You never know what team's going to show up, and you never know when they're going to string together 4 turnovers or whatever the case may be to outscore you and steal a game.
Well, and tested positive on a Monday, Mike, you think that would improve his chances of getting back by this weekend. So I would expect him to play based on the new protocols. That's the goal, is to get these guys back. And they do need him. And they do need to figure out how to get this offense going on a regular basis. And Pittsburgh will be a good test for them. So hopefully he gets back for the Chiefs. They can figure out their offense these last 3 games and head into the postseason ready to go.
And also Jared Goff, a day after leading the Lions to an unlikely victory over the Arizona Cardinals. What a stunner. The Cardinals had won every road game all season long by double digits. They could have been the first team in league history to get to 8 road games with double-digit victories. They still can when they travel to Dallas, although it'll be slightly more difficult than the task that they had yesterday in Detroit. They lost 30-12 to the Lions. Jared Goff on COVID reserve after having his best day as a Lion yesterday in that upset win over the Arizona Cardinals. And it just kind of figures. But from the Lions' perspective, look, you mentioned the Texans earlier. They're the team that couldn't tank straight. They won yesterday against the Jaguars. This is the time of the year when all is lost and you're better off losing. So, Lions fans, take heart. If you don't have Jared Goff and you have Tim Boyle, that means you're more likely to lose this week, and it means you're more likely to get a higher pick. This is all about maximizing your pick. When you look at how much teams give up just to move a couple of spots up in round 1, it shows you the value of losing these games when you're out of it. The NFL will never talk about it. They prefer that we don't notice it, but it is the truth, Shireen.
Well, it absolutely is, and it's what teams should want to do. And Jacksonville actually was the winner of that game yesterday between the Texans and the Jaguars, if you want to know the truth. The Texans won the game on the field, but when it comes to draft position, obviously the Jaguars now are going to have a higher draft position than the Texans. They lost to the Texans twice this season, so they're definitely a worse team than the Texans. But when you've won 2 games or 3 games, I don't know that makes that much of a difference. The seeding does make a lot of difference. Where you draft in the draft order makes a ton of difference. Can you imagine the Lions getting Aiden Hutchinson? I mean, this is a guy who played at Michigan, and if you have him come in and play for the Lions, as good as he's been, that would be just key for the Lions to get that pass rush help. Of course, they could get a quarterback too, but I'm just saying, they have a kid right in their backyard, didn't grow up a Lions fan, but boy, they would love to have him, sell some tickets to see him play for the Lions.
Regardless of whether you have dibs on somebody that you want to take or you have the ability to trade that pick to someone else and get more in return, it's better to be higher in the draft order, which means it's better when we're at this stage of a lost regular season to lose games. Who cares if you're 4-13 or 3-14 or 2-15? It doesn't matter. And it's not going to make the difference between whether or not the coach comes back. And I know the players aren't going to try to lose, and the coaches who aren't secure for next year aren't going to try to lose. It comes down to making the broader decisions higher above, like we're going to evaluate a young quarterback like Davis Mills. Hey, Davis, you're not supposed to beat the Jaguars. You're supposed to lose that game. If the plan was here to lose so we can draft higher, but it's the NFL's open secret that, again, they don't want us to talk about, so I talk about it whenever I can.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.